Welcome to the Millionaires mini-series with your hosts Stephanie Keith and Stacey Failing, here to set you up with the most luxurious version of yourself. This podcast is filled with wealthy women vibes and a sneak peek into the millionaire's lifestyle. Whether you're in our millionaire's dreams of taking private jets to deserted islands or you prefer the lighter side of luxury, we have an opportunity for you that is priceless.
Come join us as we share with you all of our juicy money secrets, mindset hacks, and so much more. Money may not buy happiness, but it can provide you with an abundant life beyond your wildest dreams. So turn up the volume, adjust your crown, and get ready to embrace your inner millionaire-ess.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Millionaire Podcast. We are, closing in on the end of the year, and Steph and I are just really excited because we feel like we have laid this foundation work for you. Like there's this no-brainer formula that we have created to really help you maximize the rest of your year. And regardless of like what your goals are for next year, that we are giving you this opportunity to really lay that foundation for yourself so that you can really springboard into whatever your goals are for the next coming year. And so it all really starts with your mindset. You hear us talk about it all the time on this podcast, and it really is the first step. So if you are feeling stuck, if you feel like there is something more, but you just feel so blocked, but you really just want to step into that effortless, like it feels good energy, and you just don't know where to start, we have our Mommy Method, which is this masterclass that is built out for you in 6 weeks. So you can definitely get this done by the end of the year, where we show you how to really step into that millionaire-esque vibe. And you have so much access to this library and call replays and everything in there to really just like brush the cobwebs off of all of your old thoughts and those limiting beliefs that are standing in your way so that you can take action. So I will put the link in the show notes for how you can get in there. It's really affordable. It's a no-brainer if you're just looking for some more clarity and you're really ready to just take action and get moving and have that high vibe energy that we always talk about. And that kind of brings us to today's episode where, you know, if you aren't necessarily able or ready to jump full in to creating a business or leaving your job, you're just not in that place, but you know, like you're ready to take action somewhere. It starts with that mindset and clearing out those blockages. But then the next step of that is just getting started. And we want to talk to you today about a couple of different ways that you can get started. And it's in the magic of a side hustle. And you've heard us talk about like MLMs before, or getting started on projects like Etsy or, creating things like that. But we've got a couple of other things that we want to share with you that works very well also. Steph, do you want to hit us with one?
Yeah, well, my favorite that could be a full business or a side hustle is having an app. I think with today's technology, it's like it really is easy to create a business without having to put in, a full-time work week. And so anything with technology, that you can just sort of create. And then once it's created, it's that passive income is perfect for a side hustle, because then, you don't have to like free up your schedule all the time. You just work on it like on the weekends, in the evenings, before work, get the content created. And then once it's created, it can live online forever. And that's just passive income. So, anything like that, I think is like a no-brainer. Like everyone should be doing it.
How does somebody get started with that? Because for me, thinking of all of the techie stuff behind creating an app just feels overwhelming. Is there like a place that you can send them? Do you have any like getting started tips on what that looks like? And do you have to be super techie to start an app?
No, thank God, because otherwise I would not. And it does sound really intimidating, but it's way easier than you think. Like the only reason I got into it was I found myself like right when I left my day job, sort of that in-between period, I found myself working for a friend and just kind of doing everything in her business. And one of the things that we ended up doing was creating an app. And so through that experience, I realized it's just like creating a course or anything else. Like the technology has come so far that you don't have to be tech savvy. You don't have to know how to code. It's like plug and play. And so it's really easy. And there's all different platforms. There's a ton of them. I'm sure more and more will come out with AI, where, you know, you just create the content and then you basically upload it to this system. So it's really easy. I have a course that walks people, through the whole process, but it's something that unless someone tells you, you probably don't realize like, hey, anyone can do this. And if anyone can, you know, create a course or do online coaching or write an ebook, you can also create an app. And it's just as easy as all of those things. Because there are these like plug and play developers where it's just like uploading your content, just like you would upload your content to YouTube or Etsy or anything else. But I feel like the return is so much higher because you have the power of like the Apple and Google search engines. Like people are searching the app stores 24/7 all over the world. So you really like open yourself up to a huge audience that probably wouldn't otherwise see you. So I think like, just in my opinion, that's my favorite and the most lucrative way to get going with a side hustle.
Okay, so I think another question that might come up is like, how do I know? Like, where do I come up with the idea if you are, you know, just trying to find something to start a side hustle, but you don't really know, like, what do I create an app on? Is there any guidance or anything that helped you? I mean, I know that you have your space and you were really clear on that before you started your app, but like, do you have any advice for people that are like, that sounds amazing, but what in the hell do I create an app about?
Yeah. So what I did, and this, like, I recommend this to everyone. So when I got started, I already had some content. Like I had, some like mini courses and master classes and things like that I had done. So I had some content to upload and some like subliminals and meditations, things like that. But then what I did was for the first like year and a half, every single week, I had a live call where I would ask the people in my app, like, what do you want to know about regarding my topic, which was manifestation? And then I found experts in the industry. And how I did that was just asking in like Facebook groups, like, hey, does anybody want to come in my app? And I will, you know, throw up your link and your bio and everything else, and you do a masterclass. So in a year and a half of doing that every single week, the content was created. And now I have like a ton of masterclasses on all different topics by all different experts within, you know, sort of like that law of attraction manifestation space. And it pretty much, they built it for me. So you can always do something like that where, you know, you have a little bit of content to put in there. And then you just set up these calls and you build it as you go. So that way you're making money as you're creating the content, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And it's so nice to have somebody to be able to kind of walk you through those steps too, when you do get to a point where you're like, okay, what's next? You know, that you don't have to build it all at once. You can really kind of build as you go, which sounds amazing for somebody that is working full time and just doesn't have a lot of time to give in the beginning to start that. So that's super helpful. Is there anything else that you want to share, or should I dive into what my idea is for starting a side hustle?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So I believe that there is so much power in podcasting, and that you can get started on a podcast for really cheap. Like you can get all your equipment. You have most of it already for under a couple $100. The software that you use to record is free. Everything else is pretty affordable to get set up. And so you really just need to have an idea and a story to share, which I feel like every single one of us has a story to share. So if you have an experience and you just feel like you could walk somebody through what that experience looked like for you, or there's so many other podcasts that are just like fun. And like we have a friend that has a podcast and she just made light of it to just have a space to be able to make jokes and make light of life. And so there's so many different categories with podcasting that you could go. And this is definitely something that doesn't take a whole lot of time. And again, you don't have a lot of time to give. And so you can set this up really easily and you can maintain it really easily. But the really cool thing that I love about podcasting is there's a lot of room for growth. Just like Steph was saying about building out an app, is that you don't have to have it all done to get started. You can just continue to grow it as you're able to. But there's a lot of growth that can come from other places where you get connected with other people. You get opportunities to be on other people's podcasts. You have opportunities to collaborate with people and create things. So as you have more time and you're ready to step into that action phase of doing something else, you can do that and build it just by having a podcast. And you can get sponsorships and all kinds of really great opportunities come that you might not have had if you didn't have a podcast. And it's easier to get searchable than it is on social media and things. So there's a lot of perks to having a podcast, and it's something that you can start, but then it could potentially get you to a point where you could leave your full-time job because you've been able to grow so successfully with a podcast. So that's my thing.
Yeah. I try to get every single coaching client to start a podcast because it is probably the most powerful thing I ever did for my business. It's like a great way to build a loyal following and get people to know you. Like, what's your story? What are you about? What do you do? What's your style? And there's just nothing else like it. It captivates people in a way that social media can't. And I think everyone should do it. And everyone is afraid to do it. That's the other thing, right? It's like every single person I talk to, they're like, I could never do that, or I hate my voice, or oh my gosh. And once they start doing it within a week, they're like, oh my God, I love it. And I could do this forever. So.
Yeah. And like the biggest thing that I say is just get started, because nobody's first few episodes sound fantastic and you just you get used to it. It's just that comfortability. And the most important thing is just to have fun and know that it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to sit there and take the time to edit out all the ums and the little mistakes, because the more real that you can be, the more relatable that you are. And so people aren't really paying attention to, if you have some kids in the background or you stutter a little bit, it's really cool. You can just show up as yourself and share your story. So it's, one of those things that doesn't take a whole lot of time to sit there and think about, oh my gosh, I have to create all this content, and then I have to schedule it out. And it's just kind of a really easy process. And I mean, you can do both. Steph, you have an app and you have a podcast, and you still have that time freedom to, have this life that you love living. And so, if you feel interested in either or both, there is no limit there. You can totally do both. And they don't have to be related necessarily. So you just have a couple of options to really get you going. If you are like, I know I want to do something more. And both of these things can lead you to that place. But if you can't step into that place just yet, these are a couple of really good ways to get you started so that you can eventually get to where you want to go and have that time freedom that we're all hoping that, we can provide to everybody.
Yeah. And Stacey, I don't know about you, but now that I've been out of the 9-to-5 world for a really long time, it's amazing to me, how I ever did that, because I feel like I can get so much done, everything I need done in my business in just a few hours a week, here and there. And I don't know why or how I sat down for 8 hours every single day. What did I do during those 8 hours, and how much of it was actually productive versus just going through the motions? So it's when you have an intention and you have something specific you're working on, you can knock it out in a few hours a week. You can work on it over your lunch break. It doesn't have to be this overwhelming thing that takes up all of your time and energy. So I just want to throw that out there too, that this whole idea of a 40-hour work week to get things done, I feel like it's just an illusion. and you just need a few solid hours to really focus and get creative, and you can make it happen.
Oh my gosh, I'm so much more productive in 4 hours than I am in 10.
Yeah.
For
Yep.
sure. Well, I will put everything in the show notes for your app course and my podcast course. And I know the doors aren't open right now, but they will be soon. So you can get on our wait list for those. And then in the meantime, step into the best, brightest, most clearest version of yourself, and let us help you walk through getting that clarity and laying that foundation so that when you are getting started in something, you just are like in the right mindset and you have the tools to really make it happen. And when you do that, you can just see yourself have this growth exponentially. And I can't explain it because it's just this magic of the mindset and how it can really affect how you take action, how you show up for yourself, and what that really creates. It shifts you in such a way that it's like you didn't realize how much you really could get done had you just dusted those cobwebs off. So I will put everything in there, and we hope to see you inside, and we will see you back here for another episode.